Hey everyone, Jonathan Bailor here. Very, very excited about today's show because a little bit of reminiscing and sending a little virtual hug here to my guest because we've got my brother Sean Croxton on the show, and Sean showed love to me very, very early on in my entrance into the internet and nutrition world, and brought me on his wonderful and just profoundly popular podcast, Underground Wellness Radio. And Sean, it's just such a pleasure to have you on my show now. And folks, if you're not familiar with Sean's work, please check him out at undergroundwellness.com. Literally anyone who's anyone has been on his show. And truly, Sean, you are a pioneer in the field. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. I appreciate it.
Hey, Sean, well, it's absolutely my pleasure. And what I was so excited about with today's show is you, on your show, obviously, you give people a wonderful platform on which to share their story, but I want to hear more about your story. You're doing all kinds of stuff out there for nutrition and wellness, and I want to know about little Sean Croxton and how he became the maven connector that he is today.
Oh man, it's a long story, but I will keep it short. At least I'll try to. My story is one of failure, really. We learn from our failures, so they say. And that's what I truly believe, actually. I went to a California State University, and I studied kinesiology. And that's basically, for those who don't know, fitness, nutrition, and health. And I wanted to become like the world's greatest personal trainer, wanted to rid the world of obesity, on and on and on. And did really well on my classes. And I graduated and had this degree, Bachelor of Sciences, kinesiology grad. And soon found out that what I learned in school was completely wrong. I was doing things like having my clients do tons and tons of cardio, having them consume low-calorie diets that were pretty much free of fat. So I was having them drink low-fat milk or even replace their dairy products with soy products, which is definitely not a good idea. Had them taking the skin off their chicken and just doing all of these things that didn't really work. And at first I thought that it wasn't me and my program. I thought it was them. I thought they were cheating on their diets. They would come in for their weigh-ins and their weight would go up or it wouldn't change after they put in all of this work. I was stuck in that box of calories in and calories out. And, a couple of years in, because it took me a little while to catch on to this, I said, hey, maybe it's not my clients. Maybe it's me and what I'm asking these clients to do. And at the same time, I was having my own issues. I was having digestive problems. I was having issues with my mood. I was very depressed and also had a lot of social anxiety. Like I wouldn't go anywhere. I was just pretty much at home all the time. But while I was at home, I was reading books. And I started reading books that were written by people who were getting real results with real people instead of a textbook that was written by some guy who had never worked with anybody. And so I stumbled upon like Paul Chek and David Getoff and Bill Walcott and Lauren Cordain, on and on and on, Weston A. Price as well, and found out that, I really wasn't a college graduate on that day when I walked across the stage. I was more of a representative for the food industry. And it just really clicked. And I said, what I am preaching to my clients is not real. It's all just to make more money for these companies. And so I flipped everything, went more, I don't like to use the word natural, but I went with more real foods because I don't think God is stupid. I've done a video about this. Like, did God really put the fat in the milk to kill us? Did God really put the yolk in the egg to kill us? Did he put the skin on the chicken to kill us? Probably not. So I wanted to get back to the old school in the way that our ancestors did. And this program, as well as cutting back on the cardio and doing some other things, worked. And that's what I'm about. I'm about what works. And so that's my story. I'm from there. I decided to share this information on YouTube. My roommate, for some reason, got me a webcam for Christmas, and I just started making YouTube videos way back in like 2006, 2007. Eventually started up the Underground Wellness podcast and started blogging and wrote The Dark Side of Fat Loss, and now we're doing summits, and now we're here.
Sean, the thing that I think is just awesome about your story is, I'm a fan of Macklemore and Ryan Lewis because they're from my hometown of Seattle. Very, very, so they hit home, and they have a song on their new album called 10,000 Hours, which talks about the premise that I believe Malcolm Gladwell talks about in his book Outliers, which is that it takes 10,000 hours of conscious, deliberate effort to become world class at something. And brother, you've been at this for nearly a decade. I can only imagine you far exceeded 10,000 hours. How do you stay focused and how do you stay driven, and how can other people, I mean, you've essentially made a pretty cool life for yourself from a pretty dark place. How can other people do that?
Oh gosh, am I at 10,000 hours? That's crazy. It's been a decade. That's wild. When you said that, you said it's a decade. I've been like, whoa, that's crazy. Time flies. It's really a matter of just passion and love for what I do. I've always been a guy who's looking to help and serve others. Like in 8th grade, I won the service award, at graduation, because that's just what I do. If you're putting away chairs after an event, I was the guy to be like, hey, can I help? I'm just that type of guy. And, not only did my clients need help, but also I needed help at the same time for some of the stuff that I had going on. So I was very, very motivated. And I just find the human body and the human experience in general as just to be extremely fascinating. And I love to share. I think that the best experts out there are those who can learn really complicated stuff and break it down in a way that people can understand so they can use it and pass it on to others, and we can really change the world. You got to think, okay, well, I'm only one person and you're only one person, but gosh, how many people out there can we affect? Can we impact? And so that's what drives me. It's not a selfish drive at all. It's like, how can I help others? And I think if people want to become motivated and put in their 10,000 hours in order to become experts, then, that's what you have to do, is kind of look outside of yourself and see how you can be an impact to the lives of others.
Well, I love that, Sean. I think there's so much profound wisdom in that. And the other thing that I think is interesting, and what's your take on, is while certainly you're out there, you're connecting with a lot of people, you have these summits, I can imagine as someone who does a little bit of an internet role, certainly not to the scale you do, but at times, when you're going, for lack of better terms, up against a multi-trillion-dollar industry and you're sitting in your office with your webcam on your computer, how do you avoid feeling a bit like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack, or you're trying to, scoop out cups of water out of the ocean? How do you stay so positive?
I stay positive through the positive feedback that I get, the emails that I get, the comments that are made on Facebook and on YouTube and on Twitter. I mean, that's one of the things that keeps me going. And you're right, it is an incredibly huge machine. However, I also keep in mind, I tell people this all the time, we live in this really cool age or this really cool time where we can use social media and we can let's just check this out, man. You can turn on your webcam and you can shoot a video and you can upload it to YouTube for the entire world to see. And it's free. You know what I mean? It's free. We have Twitter. It's free. We have Facebook. It's free. We have Blog Talk Radio. You can get a half-hour show for free. We have all of these great tools these days for getting our message out without having to pay anything. And so it does take time, though. I mean, I didn't just rush out of the gates and get 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. It takes time, but that's just a reflection, and that patience that you have to have is just a reflection of the passion that you have for what you do. It shouldn't be about how many subscribers can I get. It's like, I just want to help people and serve them and add value to their lives, and you know what? They will come because I have a highly impactful message for them, if that makes sense.
Sean, it makes a lot of sense. I want to drill into that, because I think so often there is, not only for fat loss especially, but in life in general, and even in professional pursuits, there's this desire for the quick fix. And what you just mentioned is, in some ways, it flips that on its head. It's like, do great work and the attention will come. Yep. Don't try. I mean, we talk about hacking biology and biology hacks. And that's, to be clear, that's fun. And we all like that. But at the end of the day, isn't it really just about putting in a lot of good work and letting the system work itself out?
Yeah. Put out good work and people will find you. And you will get the results that you're looking for if you just do good stuff. I can't say enough. People ask me, do you use search engine optimization? Do you buy ad space and all stuff to get people to your website? It's like, no, I just put out good stuff. Before I upload a video, before I post a blog post, before I do anything, I always ask myself, is this awesome? And if it's yes, I'm going to put it up. And I also ask myself, would my mom understand this? You know, because my mom isn't in this industry. She doesn't sit around and read books the way that we do and do all this research. I want to make sure that this information is getting down to the average person who just really doesn't have the passion for this the way that we do. That way my mom can read it and be like, oh, and she can improve her fitness or improve her diet or whatever she needs to do. She can get that little nugget of information today and then come back and maybe get another nugget, and over time these nuggets start to build up to really big nuggets. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of the same premise that the 10,000 hours is based upon. You always have to think about this with the 10,000 hours. It always starts with hour number one. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't start with hour number one, if you don't take that first step, you're never going to get to that 10,000th hour. And it's not saying that you're not going to be an expert until you get to the 10,000th hour, because I'm not even sure if I've gotten to 10,000 hours myself, but it's just really about building up your knowledge over time and sharing what you've learned through these really awesome free platforms that we have these days.
And Sean, I think that is a macro lesson for life, because obviously you've got your book, The Dark Side of Fat Loss. We both talk a lot about health and fat loss specifically. And while it won't take 10,000 hours, when we talk about professional pursuits, I often find it encouraging if I focus on every single day, like where am I at today? Where am I going to be at tomorrow? Where am I going to be at the next day? You can become neurotic and you can be like, oh, I just saw XYZ person on this television show. Why am I not on that television show tomorrow? But if you're like, look at what I'm doing, look at where I was a year ago, look at where I was 2 years ago, and look at where I'm at today, that can be much more empowering. And then if we port that over to fat loss, I think personally, one of the reasons we struggle so much with health and fat loss is we have a similar short-term mindset. It's like, where am I at tomorrow? Where am I at the next day? Where am I at the next day? Rather than literally, if your goal is to be healthier a year from now, you will take a different approach. And I guarantee you that approach will actually enable you to be healthier 15 years from now, rather than just to be heavier 15 days from now. What do you think?
Yes, I completely agree with that. And if you say to somebody, hey, I can help you lose 1 pound per week, they'll look at you like, what are you talking about, 1 pound per week? I was watching The Biggest Loser last week and somebody lost 25 pounds in a week. We're talking about this one. What? And, we have to consider that compound effect. 1 pound this week is 4 pounds for the month, which is 52 pounds for the year. That's huge. Just think of where you're going to be next year at this time, 52 pounds lighter, if you keep that pace, 1 pound a week. It could be more, it could be a little bit less, but you will be in a much better situation. That's one of the things that drives me. Because, our passion for this, or I'll just speak for myself, I go through my times where my passion for this might go through a little bit of a lull. I get a little bit tired of it, but then it'll come back and I'll be like, oh, let's go at it. Maybe I just need a little break. You know what I mean? But I think to myself, a year from now, 2 years from now, doing this work and continue to build upon it, where am I going to be? And if I were to stop today, a year from now, how am I going to feel about myself? It's the thing that's the very thing that got me to actually write The Dark Side of Fat Loss, because I would set a goal every year to write a book. And I remember New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, I would always look back on the year and say, I did not write that book. And the next year I would do the same thing. And I finally got to the point where I was like, yo, this time next year, next New Year's Eve, I'm going to celebrate the fact that I wrote this book, because I'm tired of feeling this way. And I got it done. And so, for the audience out there, just think about how you're going to feel on this day next year, if you do it or if you don't do it, because it can be easy to do, 1 pound a week, but it can also be easy to not do. So which one are you going to choose?
And Sean, it's such a foundational paradigm shift, because once we take that longer term sustainable mindset, it unlocks so many doors, because we stop looking for the quick fix. Because Sean, I got to tell you, literally, that is to me the foundation of all of this complexity. Because if the goal is truly to be, let me just make continual gradual progress and build on that foundation forever, you can do that very simply and very naturally. But when we start to put these unnatural short-term expectations on ourselves, we do things which are counterproductive and start us on this self-defeating loop where we get frustrated, because really happiness is a function of expectations against reality. So if our expectations aren't in line with reality, we're always going to be disappointed.
Absolutely. I fully agree with that one. We also have to think that what you value has to be in line with your goals as well. And sometimes people don't really value health enough to achieve that goal. So that should also be considered.
Absolutely. And the priority and the effort we're willing to put in as well. I think sometimes, we talked about this in a recent podcast, this concept of, I think there's being healthy and then there's being ripped. And those are not at all the same things, right?
Definitely not. I mean, I know a lot of ripped people, and I've worked with a lot of ripped people. I used to do what's called functional diagnostic nutrition. I worked one-on-one with my clients, and my ripped, quote-unquote, ripped figure competitor, bodybuilder competitors, they were typically the least healthy people that I worked with. Hormones were way out of whack, adrenals were tapped out, bodies just incredibly toxic, digestive problems were, most of them had serious digestive problems going on. And so those are the models, though, that most people look at. That's who people want to be like. And we have to understand that those people are not healthy. We want to make sure you're healthy. And I always say, I can sit down with a client, and I always call her Mrs. Nelson for some reason. Mrs. Nelson says, hey, I want to lose 30 pounds. And I say, hey, I can help you lose 30 pounds, but tell me, how's your sleep? She says, I wake up, 3 or 4 times a night. How's your libido, your sex drive? Oh, it's just gone. It's non-existent. Hasn't been there for 10 years. My husband's really mad at me. How's your brain? Oh, I have to write things down. I just feel like I'm in a fog all the time. How's your mood? Oh, I'm depressed. I've got anxiety. How's your digestion? Oh, I'm totally constipated. I go twice a week. And I go, Mrs. Nelson, I can help you to lose 30 pounds over time, but are you going to be satisfied if you still have insomnia, if you're still waking up, if you still have no sex drive, if you still, go to the bathroom every few days? We have to realize that, you don't lose fat to get healthy, that we have to get healthy to lose fat. And a lot of people, what they're doing is they're forcing fat as well as lean tissue off of their body, and they're actually becoming more unhealthy. And that's not something that you're going to be able to maintain over time. And it's also going to just really tear away at your health, and you're going to live a less productive and fulfilling and life. It's not cool.
And Sean, that maintain over time, again, is just such a foundational paradigm shift, because even these people who their professional job is to be at 4% body fat, 8%, 12% body fat, that they are not always there. Even they, when you see these people, they prepped for that photo shoot or they prepped for that competition. Yeah. They are not constantly in that state. And beyond that, let's remember that just like none of us get down on ourselves because we can't play basketball like Michael Jordan, these people, like, this is their job and they have the genes to do it. So just like we're not sitting here like, man, I can't play basketball like Michael Jordan, so I'm just not going to try to do anything athletic. That's not, please don't do that to yourself.
Yeah, you're not 6'6" and genetically gifted. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's just that's an unrealistic expectation for a lot of people. There is only one Michael Jordan. And like you said, figure competitors and these ripped individuals don't walk around looking like that all of the time. I've known people to get ripped and really lean for contest, and they'll gain 20 pounds over the weekend. They're drinking the water, they're rehydrating, they're starting to eat carbohydrates again, and they literally just blow up. And so we have to consider that to stay there, again, you're not going to be able to maintain it. You really want to focus on being healthy and slowly chopping away at your body fat. If you're 25% body fat today, let's set a goal to get you down to 24. And then we get to 24, let's set a goal to get you down to 23. And let's just kind of keep moving in the right direction and just see what works right for you. But getting down, saying a goal of 4% body fat, it probably isn't going to happen. I'm fairly lean, and I'm nowhere near 4% body fat.
Absolutely, and we got to keep in mind the concept of diminishing marginal returns, where the effort you're going to need to put in to go from 25 to 24 is less than the effort you'll need to put in to go from 24 to 23. And then when you get down, if you want to start talking about going from 15% body fat to 14, and then from 10 to 9, the further you get, the closer you get to zero, because at zero, you die, I think. I'm not sure. Yes. So your body is going to continuously push harder and harder against you, the lower and lower that gets. So keep in mind, too, that there might come a point where you experience some diminishing marginal returns where, yeah, if you mortgage your entire life, you can get leaner, but then why?
Yes. Like you said, I love the fact that you said that. Mortgaging your entire life. It cannot be fun to get that shredded. You know, your life cannot be that awesome. You're not going out with friends, you know, when you're getting that shredded, because they might go to some restaurant. You can't eat the food. You know, you're just lifting, eating, you're lifting, eating freaking chicken breast and salad all day, and then you're going to bed. And you're just constantly just living this life focused on yourself and your body and trying to get to this shredded physique. And you're probably not going to be that much fun to be around, and you're going to feel incredibly isolated. And to be honest, in the end, it's definitely not worth it. Just be healthy.
Absolutely. And it's the distinction. And what really drives me in this field is the distinction between being alive to pursue health and fitness, or pursuing health and fitness so you can enjoy your life. There's a difference there between the focus, right?
Yes, I enjoy my life. And I recommend that people enjoy their lives as well. The enjoyment of my life is not dependent upon, you know, having six-pack abs. It's not. It's the relationships that I have. It's the passion for the work that I do. It's my family. It's my just ability to feel fulfilled. Mm-hmm. And again, one thing that's not going to make me feel incredibly fulfilled is having 8-pack abs or something like that. That's just a little bit too much. That's almost obsessiveness, in my opinion. You know, eat real food, enjoy your life, have some fun, spend some time with friends. I mean, I'll tell you just real quick. I've working with clients. There's a questionnaire that I give my clients, and there's a box on there. It says, do you feel lonely and isolated? And 90% of the time, the client will check yes. And I'll ask, hey, when was the last time you hung out with some friends? They'll be like, last Christmas. And I'll be like, yo, it's June. You know what I mean? Get out, have some fun, enjoy your life. You know, cheat on your diet a little bit every now and then. Like, just live instead of just being, you know, fully body fat focused, because it will certainly drive you crazy over time. It'll also stress you out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll reach that place where your pursuit of health becomes incredibly unhealthy.
Yes.
And certainly that is not a happy place to be.
It's not.
Oh, I love that, Sean. I love taking on that mindset of empowerment. And also, I think it's a great reality check for people, too, because if you just eat real food and you achieve this place of nutritional serenity, and in some ways, fitness and nutrition becomes a bit more of a... It's just in the back of your mind, like, you got it. You got it. You know, if you're established in your job, you go into work, it's cool, but it's not preoccupying you. It's not really the forefront of your conscious mind. That's a great place to be. Also understand that people who have these 12-pack abs aren't in that place. So again, I just think sometimes people are like, we give a message, you do the same thing about this. This can be very, very, very simple. When we say that, we're saying that in terms of, if your goal is to have this more of a simple lifestyle where you don't have to be nitty gritty and you don't have to be focused on this all the time. But again, like, if you want to be world class, which having 8-packs abs is being world class, start to think more about those Olympic gymnasts. Start to think about those people who play the piano for 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, like, if you want world class results, you're going to have to put in world class effort. But both Sean and I think, are telling you is that might not be the right trade-off unless you're getting paid a lot of money for it.
Exactly. You know, I'm talking to the average person out there. I'm not talking to the gymnast. I'm not talking to the pianist. I'm just talking to my mom. You know, and that's all I'm interested in talking to, and just helping people to realize that, you know, your diet and your fitness are just, you know, two pieces of the very big puzzle that you are. And over-focusing on them can really take a lot away from your life in general. So just chill out. You know, as much as I know about all this health stuff, I'm just your average guy. I'm just a regular dude who just wants to eat real food and just stay fit. And, when I get in the shower in the morning, be like, I'm good. When I look in the mirror, I'm good. I feel good. I got energy. I think I'm aging fairly well. And that's all I want, man. I just want to go and play basketball every morning like I typically do and not have my body hurt and just enjoy my life and just be who I am.
Well, and Sean, that's such a great message, because again, I think a lot of people are pursuing these more aesthetic goals rather than health goals because they think it will bring them a state of mind. They think it will bring them an emotional state of happiness. But I think we're here to tell you that you can achieve that emotional state of mind without having 4% body fat. And actually, if you want a quick approach to not have that state of mind, it's being so preoccupied with having 4% body fat.
Exactly. You want to have balance in your life. I mean, there's so many different aspects of your life that together will lead to happiness. And like I said earlier, the diet and exercise piece, the aesthetic stuff is just one piece, one or two pieces in there. You have to complete the wheel, balance out your life and just live fully, live full out.
I love it, Sean. Well, you've got some awesome upcoming work, which I think is another piece of this puzzle we're talking about. You've got your upcoming Sexy Back Summit. Can you tell us about that?
Sex. Everybody loves sex. I don't know anybody who doesn't like sex. And I realized this a few months ago. I interviewed Dr. Sarah Gottfried, who's the author of The Hormone Cure. She's so incredible, by the way. And it was such a popular show, and I just happened to be at a mastermind, JJ Virgin's mastermind, a couple of days later, and there was all these OBGYNs, sitting at a table, including Dr. Sarah Gottfried, and I was like, I need to do like a summit on sex. We've done a paleo summit. We did a real food summit last year. Look, I need to do a summit on sex. And so, I started putting it together, and it's incredible. Let me actually pull this up. It's an online event. It's totally free. We've got presentations on Dr. Gottfried's 50 Shades of Better Sex, Secrets of a Harvard Psychologist. We have Elisa Vitti, Cross-Train Your Menstrual Cycle for a Better Sex Life. We've got presentations on exercise and sex by Brett Klicka. We've got Paul Chek. We've got Yuri Elkane talking about superfoods for super sex. We've got Jane Bennett talking about natural birth control alternatives. We have presentations on the inability to orgasm for women. We have another one on how to get rid of UTIs and yeast infections and candida. I mean, it literally goes on and on. How to increase your testosterone if you're a man. We have 24 presentations. Again, they're all free. It's going to be starting on May 19th, so just a few weeks away. And it's going to be the most awesome summit that we'll probably ever have. Because I can't think of anything better than this very topic, because I think it's interesting to everybody. And in a nutshell, it's just natural solutions for sex-related health challenges with presentations by some of the best sexperts in the world.
Well, and Sean, just in case folks are listening to this podcast post May 19th, I'm assuming after the fact, folks can still enjoy this content. Where can they go to learn more? Where can they go to learn more after the fact? All that kind of fun stuff.
They'll be able to go. They'll be able to go to the link that's in your show notes. So just send them over there, and then we'll give you a link to put in there for that.
Beautiful, beautiful. And of course, check out undergroundwellness.com, folks, if you haven't already. Sean's got an amazing amount of free information, awesome video resources, and of course, a wonderful podcast, which if you scroll back about a year, you'll find my show with Sean. And this is little baby Jonathan. I think Sean was the third show I had ever been on, and I look forward to joining you again on your show, Sean, and certainly check out his book, The Dark Side of Fat Loss. And Sean, just real quick, can you give us a quick overview of The Dark Side of Fat Loss? I've heard a lot of really good things about it, and I know it's an ebook, right? What's it all about?
The Dark Side of Fat Loss is just pretty much what I've learned from all of the experts and that I've interviewed over the years, and the books that I've read about the truth beyond the truth about fat loss, and getting out of that box of calories in and calories out, and starting to look at some of the hidden things that can be going on. So it includes diet and exercise, but also talking about hormones and how those influence fat loss and weight gain as well. Looking at sleep, which is incredibly important for fat loss. Looking at your digestion, You can be on the greatest diet in the history of the world, but if you're not digesting your food really well, then there may be some problems. We talk about reducing your toxic load, getting your mind right, just eating real food. And there's also a system in there that'll help you find through a little bit of trial and error the diet that works right for you. And so it's more pieces to the puzzle is what it is.
And Sean, I think I'm definitely going to give it the high recommendation here, because I think the most powerful thing we can all do is choose what we focus on, because there's at any point in time, right, any person could be like, my life is there's some outliers, but stuff is terrible, stuff is great. It's kind of a matter of what we focus on. And if you focus on the mainstream, if you focus on that stuff, you're going to be confused, stuff's going to be complicated, and you're going to be unhealthy. But as Sean said, there's so much good stuff out there, and Sean is a wonderful curator of it. And this book is a wonderful distilled curation of this. I like to think of it almost as the Matrix. When you unplug yourself from the eat less, exercise more mentality, once you can do that, it's not easy, but I promise you, once you unplug yourself, you look back at that and you're just like, that is nuts. How did I ever believe that? But you got to unplug yourself. And certainly Sean's book will help you yank on that cord to get yourself unplugged.
That is absolutely true. And that's why we call it the dark side. It's just like the Matrix. It's opening your eyes to a whole new world of health. And that's what it's all about.
I love it, Sean. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Sean. And thank you so much for what you do. And folks, again, when you're on iTunes checking out this podcast, please pop over. You'll see it stacked a few rows higher in iTunes. Sean's been at this for quite some time, and he again is a wonderful role model for myself and for a lot of other people. Check out his show and check out undergroundwellness.com. And Sean, thank you so much for all that you do, all the people you help, and for joining us today.
Thank you.
Hey, folks, I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I did. Again, please show your love for Sean. He showed his love for myself and for the Smarter Science of Slim and for so many other people. I think it's great for us to pay it back to him. And remember, this day and every day afterwards, eat smarter, exercise smarter, and live better. Talk with you soon.